Welcome back. You're watching 101. We're speaking with writer and activist Eve Ensler. I guess the defining moment is the creation of the Vagina Monologues in 1996. You brought something very unusual to the fore, and people were very scared to even use the word before that. So take me through that initial stage, where the idea came from, and really how it developed, and your reaction to how people responded.
Well, I think the Vagina Monologues was really an accident. I had no intention of writing a play about vaginas. I was already a way, way, way downtown playwright, and that would have obviously secured my status. But what happened was I started talking to a woman who had had an experience, a very humiliating experience, and it had stopped her from having sex for the rest of her life. And I was just like, whoa, you have never had sex? And that got me interested in a whole other level. So I wrote The Flood, which was the first monologue that I wrote. And then I wrote another monologue, and I ended up performing them one night in this little cafe, and everyone was like, that's what you need to be doing. And I was like, really? Writing a play about vaginas? I'm not sure.
It's still a taboo subject for so many people, even around the world now. I'm sure you get quite a negative reaction because people just don't know how to handle it.
Right. Well, it's certainly different now than it was 15 years ago. I mean, when I started, people were just I remember CNN did a 10-minute piece on the Vagina Monologues and never mentioned the name, which was quite a feat. They had to do a lot of work to make that happen.
I'm sure there's some eyebrows going to be raised as we discuss it now. So.
But I think what's happened, if I look now, I always say that being in Islamabad, when they did the Vagina Monologues for the first time, and it was really an amazing performance of these women dressed in these beautiful shalwar kameez and these gorgeous saris, red, just sparkling, and women from Afghanistan came to hear the performance, and they performed a piece on women of Afghanistan. And it was, one of those moments where people were laughing so hard, their scarves were falling off. And then they were able to do it publicly in Karachi and Lahore. And to me, to see the movement go from, how hard it was everywhere in the United States. People say it must have been so easy. There's never been a city that has welcomed vaginas, anywhere in the world. Oh, goody, the vaginas are here. That has never happened. It doesn't matter if it's New York or Paris or Islamabad.
Why is that? What is it?
Patriarchy? Living in a world where essentially women are not valued, where our sexuality is seen as a huge threat, where women's power, which resides in our bodies and our beings and our brains is still seen as I just think it's more terrifying than Scud missiles. You can put Scud missiles in newspapers. You can say plutonium anywhere. No one gets scared.
The Scud monologues would work, yeah.
Right. You say vagina, and it's much more horrifying to people.
Apart from that, what do you feel were your defining moments in life?
I think obviously ending drinking and getting sober was a big moment in my life. I think the Congo has been a huge moment in my life. I think for 10 years I worked, and I've really tried to devote myself to writing and stopping violence against women. But going to the Congo is where I really understood femicide, and I understood what violence against women could actually do to the human species if we allow it to continue in the way that it's happening in the Congo. And I think I stopped being afraid. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore. I really know that if human beings are going to go on, women have to be safe and free. And I think going to the Congo and spending weeks with women there and holding them and really receiving their stories and suffering, I just got that we all have to be bigger and bolder in stopping the violence.
You, of course, have become a mentor through your work. Who were your mentors?
Well, I want to say something really sophisticated, and obviously there are writers who have been my mentors, Pinter and Beckett and Virginia Woolf and Toni Morrison, but really rock stars are, Tina Turner was my mentor. I grew up in the 60s, 70s, and I remember, going to see Tina Turner perform with Ike and looking at that woman and thinking, oh my God, that woman is fully incarnated in her body. What an amazing thing to be that alive in yourself, to be that dynamic, to be Martin Luther King, huge influence in my life, huge. Just to see people who speak from the heart and speak from their spirits and speak truth to power and don't care about what that will do to their career or those are the people who, you know.
Has there ever been such a negative reaction to you and your work and your cause that actually has threatened you?
I think there are people who wish I wasn't doing what I was doing. You know, I think, you know, there have been right-wing factions in the United States who, you know, but mainly this is what and I was saying this on a radio show the other night. I think people who respond negatively to the vagina monologues usually haven't seen it. It's kind of a knee-jerk reaction to vaginas in general and women talking about their sexuality and women being empowered, and they somehow think that it's vulgar for women to actually be alive in their bodies and to have a life. And but I have to say, for the most part, if I look at the progression of V-Day in 11 years, we've gone from 1 city to 60. This year, we're in 120 countries. We've raised $60 million. There were 4,000 events in 1,400 places. In places you couldn't have ever, my wildest imagination, I would never have dreamed we'd be in Pakistan or in Lebanon or in the South, in southern Georgia, in Alabama. You know, I mean, places where, and what I know now is I don't know anything. You know, I don't make assumptions about people anymore. I am assuming now that most people want to be free.
Have you learned a lot about, you know, other cultures and how to handle the sensitivities because of your travels? Has it opened your eyes to the sensitivities that perhaps living in America and being in a more sort of comfortable, insulated environment, you wouldn't really get to know or see?
Oh God, yes. You know, 80% of Americans don't have passports. Something like that. I make up statistics all the time, but I think that's what it is.
It's high, yes.
It's like that. But, you know, I don't believe in countries anymore. People say, where do you live? And I just say, in the world, because I travel all the time, and I really don't know where I live anymore. I live here, right now, with you, doing this. There's something so liberating about not attaching yourself through nationality and through geography, but attaching yourself through your humanity. And that's what interests me now. And every culture that I go to, I'm in awe of that culture. I'm in awe of the food, I'm in awe of the dress, I'm in awe of the rituals. I think it's fantastic. And it's like, how do you let yourself be with that culture? How do you open to that culture? How do you learn something about yourself and how to be differently in the world, in that culture, you know?
Now obviously you've got so much on your plate. You've seen how this movement has grown. What is there left for you to do? What is there that you perhaps haven't managed to achieve that's still outstanding? That's
Ending violence against women.
Well, yeah, I mean, as a mission, right? I was thinking, yeah, no, of course, but in the sense of you know, approaching it from a particular angle. Obviously, you've got, you know, your work behind you. You're writing regularly. What is there though that you want to take on as a mission, perhaps that might help your cause?
You know, I think this idea of helping build a men's movement is really important to me. There's so much I don't know about men, and I'm going to get brave, and I'm going to go and I'm going to do interviews with men next, and I'm going to find out what is at the heart of violence. As much as I study it, as much as I examine it, I don't know the answers yet. I don't know.
Do you think you'll get honest answers from men? Do you expect honest answers?
I think I will. I think I will. You know, I think there will be some people who won't answer honestly, but I'm working really hard to get to a place where I can do it with love, where I can sit in prisons and talk to rapists, where I can talk to men who beat women up, where I can talk to men who've seen their mothers be beaten up, you know, men who've suffered violence by witnessing women they love be violated. I'm really interested in the tenderness of men and what's been done to men to rob them of their tenderness, because I think it's at the core of what's gone wrong with the human species.
Do you get time for yourself? Is there Eve Ensler time where you can chill and relax?
No. You know, as my team often says to me, you were the one who decided to give up a life. You know, I haven't learned that how to do that yet. But on the other hand, what do I want to be doing? You know, I'm not really good at vacationing. Shopping I can do for about 5 minutes. I feel like this is the life I want to be living. And there's the great Bernard Shaw quote where he says, and I'm misquoting it horribly, but it's something about, this is my life, you know, burn it up, burn it, so when I'm gone, I'm done with it. I love that idea, you know, just burn it up. I don't know, this is a good life.
How do you think you'll be remembered? What would your legacy be?
Oh God, that's for other people to figure out.
Well, how would you like to be remembered?
You know, I think the work is to learn how to disappear. You know, to learn how to disappear. I, um, I hope that when I'm gone, I will have learned how to serve. I will have learned how to serve and get out of the way. And sometimes that's easy, and sometimes that's hard to do. But that's the work, you know.
Eve Ensler, more power to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.